Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. Today's video is just going to be a quick look at some news from the game. Holidays are coming up and I will be out of town for a couple days, start of next week. So I wanted to let you know that and give you the latest news as it's out, talk a little bit about what it means to me, what I think about it, as well as give you one final reminder about the Gleam giveaway. The link to that is in the description below. And to submit your water teams over on Discord tonight if you want me to take a look at them for a review video. Now, I will say that with holidays coming up, I probably won't be able to get that video out, potentially until the Miracle of Dragalia has finished or is on its last day. So if you need more immediate help, feel free to send me a DM on Twitter or on Discord, and I'll try to get you that help beforehand this weekend. But so far, 60 of you have submitted your teams. I'm thinking about how to manage that and how to organize that in a way that is more digestible. But other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at the news that we have. So a number of things have come out over the past few days, starting with this issue with Dragalia Nefaria and Dragalia Xander's stats. So apparently these were displayed incorrectly, and I didn't notice this difference, but because of this, all players received a reward, or compensation I should say, of one 10-fold voucher and 1500 Wyrmite, and anyone who had summoned on Dragalia Defenders before December 19th at 10:25 a.m. got an additional 1000 Wyrmite. So I was able to pick up that additional Wyrmite. This kind of throws a wrench into my theory that it's always best to wait on summoning on a new showcase. I guess if you're going to expect compensation due to issues, you want to summon early. But it's only 1000 Wyrmite, it's not enough for a free 10-fold. So I kind of like that they did it that way to where, yes, you get some compensation back, and if you were doing daily deals, this actually works out really well for you. But that was a really nice gift. Whether or not you got that extra 1000, that's pretty good. Then we got these two announcements on the 20th about the change that we had heard about to rupees from rupee mines, and something else that's potentially even bigger about co-op. But let's look at these rupee mine changes first. So these are going to be applied on December 27th at midnight. That's reset in my time zone. So it'll be reset whatever your time zone is. And as you can see here, we are going to start getting a lot more rupees from our rupee mines. Now, it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison because the length to reach max capacity is changing from 6 to 8 hours. But I actually think that's a really good thing too, because it means we can get a full night's sleep and we're not essentially wasting 2 hours where our rupees are just at their maximum and we aren't emptying out those mines. So this is actually a pretty big change, and together with the Avenue to Fortune change and having access to Master, rupees are no longer a bottleneck, at least in my experience. We get so many of them, we're getting a lot from this facility event, that I have had really no troubles with that. And I'm going to talk about what that means to me in a moment after we look at these other pieces of news. So the next thing is coming at the end of January 2019, and basically this is a revamp in co-op. The host is going to expend Gather Wings instead of stamina when playing co-op. So I think this is a pretty big change and kind of gets at some of the issues we've had in the past when it comes to not enough hosts. I will say I think there's a lot up in the air about this. The actual implementation will give me a better idea of whether this is a positive, how much of a positive it is, what some of the drawbacks are. But on face value, I think this is a good thing. The reason I say that is a lot of the stronger players can solo or potentially even auto some of the harder content like Imperial Onslaughts. So instead of spending stamina to host, they'll probably just use it in auto battle or soloing a map like Master Imperial Onslaught, and the lack of hosts makes it harder for weaker players who need to find rooms to be able to actually clear those. So because now you'll use wings to join and host, maybe matchmaking will also be better, where everyone is just in one big pool instead of hosts being treated separately than joiners. We're going to have to wait and see, like I said, the exact details to know how good this is or what drawbacks there are to it. I'm pretty excited about that though. It shows that the devs are listening to feedback and are trying things. And the final piece of news that I want to touch on is about the Greatest Gift Wyrmprint. In my summoning video, I thought this stacked with Yuden's player EXP ability, but it seems like there's really no acknowledgement of that here. I was hoping that was just a bug, the fact that it wasn't stacking, but as it turns out, there was a bug, but that was related to using this Wyrmprint for skip tickets. So if you did that, you're going to get compensated those skip tickets back, as well as honey equivalent to how much stamina you spent on those skip tickets, and even a little bit more honey the way that they're rounding here. I would like if they had clarified in-game that this didn't stack, but it doesn't really affect me too much because I promoted my Yuden. I'm already getting 15%, so I think this is kind of the way they intended it, where if you didn't promote your Yuden, this will let you use a greater variety of teams. If you did, you're probably still going to want to use him, and you shouldn't feel like you lost out on your investment. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to do today was, because of this rupee mine change, we are getting so many resources now. If you look at this upgrade page, this is my mana, Eldwater, and rupees. And what I found is, especially as I've summoned more, I now have all the 3-star dragons. I have all the 3-star adventurers except for 3. I'm missing Vice, I'm missing Estelle, and I'm missing Edward, at least from the normal summoning pool. And because of that, the returns to summoning for me have diminished quite a lot. I'm not getting as many new adventurers, and hence getting the Wyrmite from their stories. So instead of spending that small amount of Wyrmite I got as compensation on summoning, I'm actually going to be buying some Smithworms. And the way that I look at this is, looking at my inventory, I have so many resources now compared to when I started the game. If you just look, for instance, I have over 3,000 of these Diurnell coins, 1,000 of the silvers, and yes, these can diminish pretty quickly, but at least from the rupee perspective, because of how good mines are going to be and how good Avenue to Fortune has become, I am not going to be resource constrained for quite some time. So my thinking here is, at least for the next 3 or 4 months, I'm pretty confident I can occupy 4 Smithworms, and that's how many I'm going to go up to today. You'll see that this building just completed, and I have 1 Smithworm currently on my Yule tree. These water altars I've been leveling up, one's at 25 and one's at 24. But I have a lot of levels to go across my different facilities. Some of these dojos are still at level 8. And like I said, I honestly think the resource constraint is not as big as I thought, and getting these rupee mines up ahead of that revamp is going to be really nice. Also, having a Smithworm just to sync on this dragon tree is going to be really nice. So here we go, we're going to buy the Smithworms. The first one costs 250 Wyrmite. I didn't expect to be doing this. I'm not doing it because I'm necessarily having any trouble clearing content, but more so just because I think it's become that efficient to do this because of how good the rupee income is now. So there we go, I have 4 Smithworms now. I'm going to wait, I'm not going to get the 5th one. It does cost more, it costs 700 Wyrmite, which is kind of a lot. It could be that I want this, and I think if we indeed get an update where we have a ton more facilities, maybe I will consider this. And it seems like we're headed that direction because for players who bought 5 Smithworms at the beginning of the game, there's only so much you can really do at this point. Your Halidam's probably close to level 9, if not there already. But I'm going to go ahead and right away sync these into my rupee mines, start getting them up. One tip I received on our Discord is be careful about having all 4 Smithworms on rupee mines because some of these take more than a day in terms of the build time as the rupee mine levels up. And you don't want to be in a situation where you can't collect your rupees for your dailies. So that is something to take into account. But yeah, I wanted to document this because I want to show you every time I spend and sink into my Wyrmite. Most of the time it's been on summons. This is the first time I've spent it on something else, and I actually think it's a pretty decent value. Potentially even a great value at this point because of how many resources we have. It's just way easier to keep these Smithworms occupied, and with as much as I play this game, I'm really confident that I'm not going to be wasting these. So there you have it, folks. As for Dragon Yule Defenders, I do have that new 10-fold voucher, getting close to 10 single tickets, but I probably won't reach that by the time the showcase ends. So we're going to have to see. The fact that I'm only missing Cleo from my summoning, it is super tempting to go back, because extra copies of the other 3 5-stars would just mean more unbinding for me, and I do want to take Dragon Yule Jean all the way eventually. So I'm still looking at this, but I'll probably wait until the 30th just to get that peek at what we're going to get next. If you're summoning on this, I wish you the best of luck. Remember, you can still enter the giveaway for this. The link is in the description below, like I said at the beginning of the video. Until next time, everyone, take care, have a good weekend, have a happy holiday if you're celebrating this holiday season, and I'll see you next time.
Swimming is